Recording. So, evening, everybody, and welcome to the Health Store event. Avril is unavailable this evening, so you are left with myself and Helen from Core Social in the capable hands that will be taking you through tonight's session, which is around social media and how to best utilize it to increase your reach, increase your sales, and create some call to actions to make it work for you. The process of the day or the session will be that we'll do a short presentation just on some overall marketing pieces. Helen will dip in and out of some of those and we'll work those between the two of us. And then we will kind of take that screen off and we'll go through some things into some more detail. So hopefully the idea of the session is that at the end of this, that you can come away with some additional hints and tips to increase your brand awareness on your or social media awareness, some ideas around how to target more customers, consumers, how to work with the brands to get them to help you, give you content, give you things that you can talk about to your customers as well. And of course, there'll be a large chunk of time as well to talk around any questions that you might have. There's a couple that I've already had sent in that we'll work through at that time as well. But this is very interactive. So for those that have just joined, if you do have any questions at all, please raise your hand on the little app or just actually raise your hands or flick your screen on and off or something that grabs our attention. And as soon as we can mention that, then we will do. So without further ado, I'm just going to go through the presentation now with a couple of introductions and then straight in. He says cleverly, but he doesn't actually, you can't see a share. There we go. So I shall share that. Can we see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. So welcome to the social media workshop. My name is Dave Christie. I'm the coach and mentoring partner at Take on Goliath, and I've partnered with the Health Store UK to help and provide coaching and mentoring sessions across the course of 2024, 23 and beyond to the health stores to help drive awareness, grow their business, answer any questions that might be there, and also provide a bit of a conduit between brands and stores as well, so that we can work in more harmony together and drive the independent channel as a whole. My background, for those of you that don't know, is I have a variety of experience ranging from back in the day of being a rugby coach, and that worked with me getting into nutrition. So that got me interested in nutrition, nutritional supplements, products, vitamins, etc. as well. And I ran and raised my own brand and protein brand and products and sold those into retail. Most recently, I have worked with the likes of Faith in Nature for a number of years, working in the wholesale sector in there and trying to drive the awareness in the independent sector. I've also worked with Jason, with Avalon, with a number of new up-and-coming independent brands that are in the category as well, helping and driving and supporting the independent channel exclusively, from NutriTea through to supplement brands at the same time as well. My passion is really the independent sector and trying to drive and support that. I'm also going to hand over to Helen, who is joining me today, who's just going to introduce herself as well. So, Helen.
Thanks very much, Dave.
Welcome.
So I'm Helen. Thank you. I'm the founder of Core Social Limited, and I help small independent businesses like yourselves, usually specialise in food, health, wellness sectors. I help them increase their visibility on social media and help them understand social media and how they can use it as part of an integral tool, if you like, of their overall business strategy. I can help them with main goals in terms of everybody wants a main goal as more followers, but actually a main goal should be footfall, sales, website sales, increased awareness, that type of thing. So I help brands understand that and also help them build a loyal online following as well. My background is I used to work for a cheese company called Eat Lean, which is in the food and health sector. I worked there. I basically managed their social media, and I also did their e-commerce, ran their e-commerce side of things. So I feel your pain on anyone who's got an e-commerce website as well. I've also done a bit of business development, so I know the sales side of things, and obviously can use that in terms of the social media strategy. And I'm a mental health first aider, which I also use as part with a couple of my clients that I have. And yeah, that's me. Looking forward to today.
Thanks, Helen, and your insights are going to be invaluable, and it saves people listening to my voice for the next hour and a half as well. So, I'm just going to start with the kind of what is the core things. I want people to participate. I want more people to participate. We had some great participation last month, and that really enabled a very engaging session that enabled us to get quite a lot of questions done. We went through quite a lot of scenarios, and hopefully that was really impactful. We've had some really good feedback off the back of it as well. So the more that you get involved, ask questions, it's a safe space. We're all here to learn. I'm going to learn things. I learn things with Helen every time I speak to her. So we're all going to learn, and again, enjoy it. It's our time and it's our business, and we want to be able to enjoy it and have fun. So I'm just going to touch a little bit on marketing as a whole and talk around some of the key principles of marketing. So the idea is what we're trying to do with social media and all marketing is kind of take and attract new customers. We're attracting our current customer base, and we're also trying to obtain new customers. And we're trying to target them in a bit more of a specific way. So less generalized. We have a core niche in the market, and we want to make sure that we're attracting those customers in the right manner. We want to look at the way we deliver value to customers. Customers, we always think value is necessarily around money. It isn't necessarily about money at all. When we survey customers and talk to them on a wide basis across the UK, value can be many different things to many different people. So understanding that value might be efficacy of a product, it might be the quality of a product, it might be the cost of a product, it might be a loyalty card, it might be the knowledge that you give somebody as well. So understanding what the value is that the customers need to see, and then how to put that content in the right manner for them to understand is a vital part of how we're marketing here and looking at that scenario. And then obviously processes to strengthen the loyalty that they have with your store. We're all aware of other areas and supermarkets, etc. as well, where that's a battle that we all face daily, try and keep our customers coming back to us as well. So strengthening that brand loyalty and utilizing your social media, your education, your knowledge to do that, so they keep coming back to you for that information rather than anywhere else is vitally important, because that's the USP, is you inside the stores and you with your knowledge and the expertise that you have to help and guide and support those customers and potential new customers that are walking past the store as well. The value, we want to demonstrate the product value, but that's not just products in the store. Obviously, we just talked about the value of coming in, the value of your knowledge, the value of having that one-to-one conversation about talking about what their pain points are, what their ailments are, what they're looking to try and come in with. Every independent health resort I've come into, I know the value of someone that's walked through the door and said, I've got a cold, I want this. And someone's been able to use their knowledge and say, it's actually, you're better off using X, Y, or Z. And that customer service and that builds that rapport from there. But how do we translate that to online as well? And then obviously the results in sales. I have a lovely phrase in this. They're called likes don't pay the mortgage. And we're kind of a lot of the time try and chase those likes. We try and chase that engagement. But actually, what are we doing that social media for? It's to drive people to purchase, to drive people to awareness, to have them at the front of the mind of our business, to come into our store, to buy from us directly rather than anybody else at the same time. So how we're tracking that and what's our call to action to enable us to do that. So the target audience, we really need to understand what those customer needs are and make the customer at the heart of everything we do. I know that you know this, and I don't want to teach people to suck eggs around this area particularly, but I think on social, it sometimes gets a little lost and a little bit more generic. So really targeting into who is your current customers and how do we talk to those in store, and how can we then replicate that online so that we have that same presence and that same passion and engagement that they get from you spills over across onto every platform that you work within as well. The pain points, what problems do your services solve? You know, when people have so much choice in around some of the products and areas that they want to work within, how can you narrow down that choice for them and create a more tailored approach so that you can take away some of those pain points? And then how do you get that across social media as well? That you're helping and supporting with certain ailments and areas. And that's a really important one. I think not everybody does need your product and service. So identifying on social media, specifically across platforms, and how we engage the right customer, rather than talking a lot of the time to potentially the wrong customers, or just talking to our existing customers who are already coming into store. We want to engage and drive new customers, bring in new awareness, or bring our customers new products that they're going to understand and come into the stores and purchase at the same time as well. And then talking to individuals rather than segments. So I would always, what I would call create that customer persona. We touched a little bit on this last conversation. Who is that customer persona? Who is their average age? Give them a name, draw them, understand who that person is. Who's the average customer that comes into your store? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Where else are they shopping? What are their favourites? Where else are they going online? And maybe finding out and asking those questions to your current customers, so that when we look at targeting people across social media, we can use that right tonality, we can use the right engagement. And if we want to do anything a little bit more targeted, we know exactly where to target as well. And that communicate directly to that persona at the same time. We again don't try and be too ultra wide. We want to be comfortable and really confident with that persona of who we're talking to and engage from there. At this point, Helen, anything you'd like to add at that stage?
Yeah, just a few things from what you've gone over already, really. So obviously, I mentioned before that social media is an integral part of or should be an integral part of your marketing strategy. A little tip for what to do, obviously, when you're pointing out the benefits. So sell the benefits, don't sell the features. So, for example, if you've got a watch that's waterproof, don't sell it as I have a watch that's waterproof. Sell it as you can go swimming with this watch. So it's pointing out the benefits of having that watch as opposed to its features. So that's one way that you can actually sell on social media that resonate to people that will hopefully buy your product. And as Dave said, look at what are the problems that you're selling with your services or your products. So always think, how can I relay this to my followers? How can I make it make sense to show that our products or services will actually help them with their problems? Looking at competitors, that's a great way to see how they're talking, what they're doing. And in terms of talking, like Dave said, the tone of voice and the language that you use, it's all important. You need to know your customer personas, or so you might know them as customer avatars as well. It's really important to know who they truly are. For example, I had a tea client, they assumed that because it was a lot of females following them on social media, it was the females that were buying, when actually when they dug deeper and did a few bits of research, they actually found out that it was very high in men buying. They took it as the men were buying for their wives or the girlfriends, and this is very stereotypical, but they could have bought they've run out of ideas. Basically, they've bought the shoes, the bags, the jewelry. What else can I buy my wife or my girlfriend? Oh, I'll buy specialized tea. So it's just thinking about who is actually buying your actual products and your services, and you're going to be relating to that. You want to be putting things out on social media to relate to those and appeal to those. So yeah, that's it for those two.
Yeah, really good there. There's some nice pieces of advice on that one, I think, as well. And obviously for stores themselves, obviously we're talking to customers to try and bring them into the store. We've got a range of products that are there, very much like we talked about how to lay out a store previously, when you put all the good stuff at the back, so that you're more regular items at the back, so people can walk through the store and see some of the new ideas. You still want to lead with the things that people want to see, and then you can add in some other bits as well. So think about, if you're talking around certain products, you might want to lead with some of your brand leaders, and then bring in 2 or 3 other products around that to give alternatives as you want to add on to it as well. So how do you increase that basket spend and create that awareness? When people walk into the store, there's lots of wonderful products that within it. How do we bring that awareness in, and they can follow that through at the same time as well? When we're talking through social media and we're looking at the elements, you really want to bring out the values of your business and the value of what you're doing. We really want to look at how we communicate. And I think this is always a really interesting one. We touched on it earlier around, do you communicate the same on social media as you would do if you were in store? Do you communicate the same as a customer? Do you communicate in a different way? Do you need to communicate in a different way? And we'll come on to that a little bit later on as well. And then that emotive response that you get from people on social media, you'll know from dealing with customers in store and probably online to a degree as well, that getting that positive emotive response is so important. That customer that understands, oh, I didn't know that, or really? Those kind of really positive emotive responses are very important. So on social, it's a little bit more difficult because it's graphics or it's videos, and we'll come on to some of the mixes of those in a bit. But actually, a video that kind of goes, isn't going to get that emotive response of, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, that's really interesting. Well, that's what I have. I've got that kind of problem. I didn't know there was a product there to help me with that. That's the kind of responses we're looking to try and get, and how we make them feel is that you've informed them, giving them, maybe even you're giving them some information that they can talk to their friends over dinner one time, or oh, did you know that 46% of customers get flu, or whatever it might be. People like to be informed of different stats and utilize them as well. So it's the gift that keeps on giving sometimes. And again, we talked about the value that you add, which is different to your values. So it's ease, it's time, it's coming to store. We've got a wellness clinic, an immunity clinic. We've got different things that are going on within store, and using it as that advertising board at the same time as well. But the most important thing is your personality. We all know that people shop at different shops, different stores. There's online as well, and the difference is your personality and who you are, and building that up. People buy into you, they build into who you are and what your beliefs are, and they have their values aligned with you. So make sure that you keep that, even when you're talking online as well. And then this is a slide I shared last time round as well, and I will share all these slides out. I will give them, and we'll put them out when we put the video out at the same time. Content, add in the value, the message is clear, don't sell all the time. So you don't really want to be selling 10% of the time. The rest of the time you want to be informing, you want to be educating, you might want to be running competitions, you want to be introducing new products and the reason why somebody might want it. So it's great that we have certain brands that I see across social media on this channel talking, and the static brands of this is a product, it's for immunity, but actually think about what that person might be suffering with. So if you've got starting to get runny noses, it's starting to get headaches, starting to feel a bit lethargic, starting to get those winter blues, so that people can go, oh, but I am feeling like that, I am talking like that. And actually it's an easier message to get across on social media that allows people to go from there. Cheryl.
Hello. Sorry to interrupt. I'm making lots of notes. You just said don't sell all the time, use the rule of 10%. 10% to sell or 10% not to sell?
What do you think, Cheryl?
Well, I think it's 10% to sell, but I just want to be really sure because I'm making notes.
It is absolutely 10% to sell.
Okay, so 90% is more brand building, relationships, and excitement.
Yeah, the 90% is a real mix. We'll come on to it a little bit in a minute, but actually it is around that information. People go onto social media. Think about what you go onto social media for. We want to be entertained. We want to disconnect from the real world and be immersed. And so we want to be entertained. We want information, or we want education. Something there. That's the real three main cores. So we don't need to be buy this product 10% off this, however what it might be, but maybe we want some information around how 3 steps that I can do to make myself less likely to get a cold or suffer from a cold for a short period of time, or steps I can take. Things that you know that your customers or customers that you're trying to target will be interested in. There is a rule. I don't know actually how this has changed, and if I go wrong on this, Helen, do stop me. If you're looking on Instagram as an example, a like's great. A like tells the algorithm somebody's engaged with your story, someone's engaged with your piece of post, whatever it might be, and they might go, oh, I might let a couple more people see that. Now I'll let the algorithm let a couple more people see that. And then if you comment's also great. Comment kind of thing says, oh, maybe this is really engaging. I really want to get people to comment. And then the Instagram will go, oh, I'll let a few more people go. There's a few more people engaging. They're now commenting. I'll allow a few more people to see that post. If someone shares your post, that now is to getting somewhere. Now Instagram said, oh, it's so good. They want to share it on their platform. I'm going to let even more people see that. But the golden goose, so to speak, is the save. People are saving your post and coming back to it later. Then that must be really good content. And Helen hasn't stopped me, so I'm guessing I'm on the right track here.
You're absolutely spot on, Dave.
So that's what you want.
Shares to the two.
So that when you know that, And when you understand that's how the algorithms work, and then they'll allow more people to see it, because it's still only roughly between 10 and 15% of your actual following that will even see any post. You want to increase that and increase that and increase that. So if you know the goal is to get people to share or get people to save it for later and come back to it, it's why you see so many recipes out there. Everybody wants to do a recipe because they think people will come back to it later and do the recipe. So what can you do that will help people come back to it? And the hints and tips that you can give that people will come back to. They're clever things that I might share because I want to share that I found it informative and I want to share it to my network. So once you kind of know how and what the algorithms are looking for, you'll then create content that will engage your customer base in that way as well. Does that answer your question, Cheryl?
It does. I've got another question now, though. Share and save. Now, I know about share. That's Facebook. I guess save must be Instagram, is it? Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Very helpful.
Yeah, save. Yeah, people can save your posts. A lot of giveaways if you've ever done a giveaway on Instagram, they're usually saved, quite highly saved, because people want to remember them and, you know, obviously see if they win it at the end of a giveaway.
And that's a good thing we'll come on to as well, as when and how to do giveaways if you want to as well, and what the achievements are. But that comes down to, again, Cheryl, talking about the channel. Where are your customers? I get so many questions. When Threads came out, oh my God, Dave, I haven't got time. I'm already doing this and TikTok and everything. I can't. And my question, do I have to do Threads? And the simple answer was no. Do you have to do any of them? No. Where are your customers? We know our customers are mainly Facebook, within forums and groups, and on Facebook, which is, we've gone full circle, and Facebook's really important, and Instagram. We'll get some people that might be on TikTok, but really, when you look at your customer base, are they going to be on TikTok at the moment? Not quite yet. Some of them, we are getting more and more that are coming on there. So then just focus on those two elements where you're going to get most of your time. That, you know, if that's where most of the customers are going to be, just focus on those two channels and make sure then that message is right for both. So when the message is right, and you're not talking to them, you're talking with them, you're talking, you know, you're engaging with them. It's a two-way street. You're asking those questions. You've got some call to actions on there to get people to engage. You might run some polls, some posts, everything that has that interaction. And, you know, what would you like to see in store? Or we've got these 3 products. What one would you like to see? Even if only 2 or 3 people engage, that engagement is talking. You're talking with people, you're engaging them on that social media platform as well. And then the main one is consistency. And one of the things I see a lot of, and again, Helen, it'd be good to get your view on this, is people will try things once, it doesn't work, so they'll stop. They'll do it for a week, they'll stop. And actually, what we need to see as human beings is consistency. It's why whether we like them or not, when you look at the big brands, they don't change their messaging. That messaging, Nike still wants you to just do it. They've never found the need to change it, because that's what people remember. They're building an ethos, they're building a culture, they're building people that buy into that message, and that repetitive message is what people need to understand. You might tweak it here and there, and you might put some other elements around it, but you need to give things a good chunk of time to see if they work, review it, and if they don't, then tweak it. Would you agree, Helen?
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, consistency is a big one for me. I get a lot of my clients coming saying, do I need to post every day? No, you don't have to post every day. If you've got the content to post every day and you've got the time and the resource to do it, absolutely brilliant, do that every day. If you've not, and you're trying to post every day, but you don't have the time, it's only going to cause stress. So just try, if say you're starting off with social media, you know, try it once a week. Just keep doing that. You know, if you feel like you can then do twice a week, try twice a week. But like Dave said, as long as it's consistent, just don't put much stress on you. The biggest tip really is quality over quantity. So it doesn't matter how many times you post, as long as it's consistent and as long as it's quality and it's giving the readers something that they want to read or something they want to share or save or like, you know, that's it, it's the quality you've got to think about and not the quantity. It's only going to cause stress, and there's so many brand owners that I've spoken to and they get stressed about it, and then they just give up. Like Dave says, they give up, they end up not doing it at all, and you're going to get nothing out of doing nothing at all. So yeah, no, definitely consistency.
Thanks, really good there, Helen. Thank you for that. It's very interesting. But we can't change what we don't measure. So we also can't measure what we don't know. So actually, it comes back down to looking at what we're trying to achieve from social media posts, and also being able to trial things. And we talked about consistency, that's great. But actually, what are the best times to post for us, for your customer base? You might want to trial posting first thing in the morning or posting in the evening. For me, I now know, because I've worked it through and tried lots of things, for my customer base, 7:30 in the morning is when the best time, the best engagement for me. But I tried lots of other things before that, and it's different for everybody as well. So know what and how you're going to measure. So what is it that you're actually going to measure? Is it likes? Is it engagement? Is it how many comments you get? How many competition win entries you get? Is it any kind of new followers that you get as well? There needs to be a goal of what you're trying to do with social media. We can get a little lost sometimes in putting out content, and I see some of the most fantastic comments from stores and shops, and one comment, two comments, one like, three likes, and then I look at the likes, and it's like there's a picture of a dog with the name Bertie, and I'm like, great, but actually, what could you have done with that time if you weren't making that post? And Bertie might like what you were doing elsewhere as well, but actually it's making sure that you have a goal of what you're trying to achieve and then working towards that. So if it is that you want to use social media to make the current customers aware of MPD that you've got in store, fantastic. Then that's the goal. And then when people come into store, you can ask them, did you see our posts? Did you follow us? Do you engage with us? And actually trying to get people and driving people towards the platform or towards a certain thing within it. So we'll come on to what that looks like in a bit as well. And then keep that measurement consistent. If you're constantly looking to measure a certain thing, keep those measurements the same, so that it means you're getting an even base, and then you can tweak something, and if it works better, great, and if it works less, then go back to what you were doing. Again, but keeping that period of time and it being able to tweak it at the same time as well. Absolutely go crazy. Do lots of different things. I see lots of people trialing lots of things, videos, comments, funny little skits, more serious engagement. Whatever works for your customer base. You know the average of who your customer is. What is it that's going to engage with them? But also have a look around and see what other people are doing, as Helen said earlier on, because no one's reinventing the wheel here. We're all just doing something that's been done before, but in our way, to our customers with our tone. So there is some advantage of having a look around and seeing what others are doing and thinking, oh, I like the way they've done that. I'll do something similar as well. Saves you spending a lot of time on it as well. And as we said, little changes are good, but don't go off the plan. If the plan is still to drive people to store or to do your MPD, then have those tweaks, but keep the plan in place for that period of time to keep that consistency, continuity at the same time. My mouse has stopped working. So that was just a kind of a whistle stop kind of quick 30 minutes into the overall essence of what we're trying to achieve. What we're trying to do with social media and how and what we can do to try and achieve that. Now we're going to go into a little bit more detail, but we're going to talk openly and have more interaction around what we're currently doing, any questions that we have, and some of the hints and tips that we can work on. And this is the bit that's the good bit, how we can work on them, how we can engage with brands and everything around that. But just before we do that, has anyone who's on the call got any questions about anything that we've just gone over? Anything they would like us to reiterate or go into any more detail on, or anything that you disagree with or might think that doesn't work for you? I must have done a very good job. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. So the next element I want to talk around is actually looking at and getting into the nitty-gritty of, right, what are we doing in store at the moment? So the last thing that we just talked about there was actually setting those goals. And setting the goals, the reason what we're doing. Why do we do what we do on social media? Ultimately, now, does anyone on this call have a goal? Does anyone have that strategy of, I know what I'm trying to achieve on social media? Gail,
not a clue.
do you have not a clue? Do you have social media? What are you using at the moment?
I do Instagram, which automatically updates Facebook. I dislike Facebook It's not something that I follow or use. So I'm a bit of a Philistine when it comes to social media. I'll have a go and I do odd little bits. But it's generally because somebody's nagging me to do it. I struggle to engage with it, if I'm completely honest.
You're not alone, Gail, to be honest, and I would not say you're a Philistine at all. But I think what it actually comes down to a little bit more is that no one's taken the time to explain to you what some of the benefits of social media are. If you don't know what the benefits of something are and you can't see them, then why would you put the time and effort into them?
I think I do know what I think I do know, because I can see it with local businesses when I look at their Instagrams. For me, I think it's a generational thing. I'm in my 60s and I'd rather talk to people than muck around with my phone. That's the way that I feel about it.
I think it probably echoes what a lot of people think as well. But actually, when you can kind of twist that into, well, I could speak to more people if I use this phone to bring them into my store, then there's a means to an end on that one as well. So yeah, but again, you're absolutely not alone. And I speak to lots of stores that have that same thing. They're just, well, why would I? I want to speak to people, so I do stuff in the community and I do this, so I don't see the value. And actually, there's a few. Helen mentioned a few key things that we can do that are really quick and simple. And this is sometimes also where the brands can come into play as well, and we can kind of lean on the brands to do some work, because they can do a lot of the work for you. They can provide, and they want to. They're screaming out to do social media with stores and work with them as well. But you need to see the benefit of that at the same time, and the reasons why you would want to do that as well.
Yeah, and I discovered recently, I was talking to my son who does a bit of Instagram, and he said, you're doing it at the wrong time of the day. So I did it at 7 o'clock and had loads of likes. So I'm like, oh, okay. Whereas I was just doing it as and when I thought about it. I'd have a quiet moment in the day and think, maybe I ought to do a bit of Instagram. And then I'd play around and do it. And my son said, no, you need to take your photographs and then have it all ready so that you can just upload it. And that's what I did. And I was quite surprised by the response that I had. So
it's timing is everything on it. Helen, very quickly, what would you say the best times for a store to post out to? Gail, just if you will, just for Helen's sake, describe your average customer to me.
I guess they fall into two groups. We have the yummy mummies, and we have the older people who are retired and shop locally. We also have the sort of hippie, what I would call the hippies, or those people that are really into being planet friendly, and because I do some loose products as well.
Okay.
So those are the main three areas.
Okay. And you said, did you get the engagement on Instagram? Was it a lot of engagement on Instagram?
It was, and it was the younger element that were engaging.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I bet that was the yummy mummies, as you say, the audience of those, because they'll be, it's after work, it's after putting the kids to bed, after tea and everything. That's the time that people go on. It does differ, different in terms of the of Facebook. With the older generation, they might be on it through the day as opposed to the evening. So like Dave said in the presentation, it is about experimenting. I understand that people don't have time to do the experimentation, but if you maybe experiment for a few weeks just doing evening posts on both, then you can have a look then to see how they perform, and then the next 3 weeks try afternoon and then try morning and just see what you get from those. But
given those thoughts, would you, for example, post to Facebook say at 9 o'clock and Instagram at 7? Would that be one way of looking at it?
If your audience is what we would stereotypically think, so the older generation is on Facebook, I'd say in the day, morning would be a great example, and then Instagram for the younger generation in the evening. That's like your ideal, but that's assuming you don't actually know unless you actually experiment it and try those things. But I think with the experimentation, I would try just to make it simpler for you, try doing both Instagram and Facebook at the same time, three weeks in the evening. And then when you're switching over to the afternoon, do both Instagram and Facebook in the afternoon, and then try the morning as well, just so you can get a feel. Because you might be surprised with Instagram, there might be a few morning posts that do really well as well.
And what sort of time would you suggest for afternoon and evening? Would you say?
So
like...
afternoon, I'd say between 12 and 1, purely because I'm thinking lunchtime. People are on the lunch. If they're at work, they'll be browsing on their phones. In the evening, anything after 6 o'clock is usually when I look at a lot of my clients. On Instagram, for example, you can go on your insights, so you can see when you're active or your audience are active, and the majority of the time it's usually 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So that's
how do you
like
do
the
that?
best time for a lot of mine.
How do you do that?
So if you go onto your insights on, without showing you, it's quite hard to explain. So when you go onto your profile, you'll get, let me see what it looks like. There'll be a part where you can look at your insights. So if you go onto your main profile page, it'll say professional dashboard.
Oh, okay.
So if you click on that, you'll be able to see all the different...
that screen.
Okay.
So when you go onto your screen, you've got the 3 little lines. If you're going on your phone, you'll get the 3 lines at the top, which you then can click on there, and then halfway down you'll see something that says Insights.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you can have a look at, and some things might surprise you. It'll be able to show you what gender is following you. Don't forget, with Instagram and Facebook, these are people that are following you. They're not necessarily, if you've got a store to go and visit for footfall, not all of them people that come and buy from you physically will be on Instagram and Facebook. So this is kind of a guideline for who is buying from you or who's interested in your products and services on Instagram and Facebook. The actual customers are the people that come in to obviously buy from you.
Okay.
Great. Right.
Thank you.
Cheryl.
Yeah, I noticed that I schedule for the week on the scheduler thing. Forgive me, thing. And
1 second, Cheryl. I just want to pop up. What scheduler thing do you use? Just for people that might not know that you can schedule posts. Do you know which one you use?
I knew you were going to ask that. I could go on it now and see.
That's okay. While you're looking at Helen, if you just give people a couple of things. So what you can do is you can go on and schedule your posts. So I go on a Sunday and schedule all my posts on LinkedIn as an example. What would you suggest using? Really, the simplest and freest ones for Instagram and for Facebook.
So the freest ones,
and I put links to them in the chats.
Yes, of course. Yeah, well, so it's Meta. It's basically Meta who own Facebook and Instagram. So basically, you can go onto there. I personally, obviously, if you've not got the time and it's really restricted, then you can basically post to Facebook and Instagram together if you want to. But I personally advise to do it separately, purely because on Instagram you'll use your hashtags. You've got your searchability tool or your hashtags. On Facebook, they're not really used on Facebook hashtags as much, so I would do them separately and manually. But obviously, if you've not got the time, you can schedule them to post together on both platforms at the same time. But Meta is for me, it's the best. I had a client that was using Hootsuite. If anyone's used Hootsuite, they were paying for that. They didn't need to, because they can use, obviously Hootsuite can post to Twitter as well, but for the sake of a few seconds to be able to copy and paste into Twitter, it's obviously there's a whole different thing with Twitter and the number of characters you can use as well. But in terms of just Facebook and Instagram, Meta's the easiest way to do it.
And I'm delighted to say I'm using Meta.
Is that what you're using?
Purely by accident, quite frankly. Yeah, but it does on Meta. It recommends a time. It tells you a time to do it. So I assumed it knew better than I did. So I pretty much used the times it recommends. Is that fair? Is that?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, when you go, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, when you go on your planner, I think it's the planner section. And you can see all the posts that you planned, and it gives you a recommended time, for when your audience are active. So that's great. Yeah. It's still good to experiment sometimes, because I don't know how accurate. I mean, I'm sure it is accurate to a degree, but it's still worth trying to experiment.
Sometimes we post 2 or 3 things on a day, and because I schedule them. It's not just me doing it, it's one of my staff as well, so we're all bunging things up. And sometimes I schedule them and adjust the times. And I think, well, I tend to go on Facebook more, this sort of. And by the way, who was that before that spoke? Gail. I'm 61. You're not the only one in the 60s. I just want to say that. But yeah, I schedule and I put some in the morning and some later in the day. And, you know, so I try to bring the changes. It's difficult to compare. You're not really doing apples with apples because some posts, it might be the post that was more interesting rather than the time it was posted. So it's a bit hard to really tell by testing, but, you know, you've got to do something.
So,
yeah.
We talked about continuity in posts as well. So one of the interesting ways, Cheryl, just to touch on that as well, when you're saying you're not comparing apples with apples, is actually what you might want to do is have some consistency about what you post on each day. It might be that you always have, when you do your sell, you might do that on a Friday because people are coming into store. And you might on a Monday do more informative one, or you might do an infograph, or you might do new products on a Tuesday, so that your customers and your consumers, the people that are watching, get more and more used to what they see. That comes back to that consistency again, and then you are able to then monitor what works on your posts as well.
I like that very much. I like that. I've written down recipes, which we never put recipes up. We've got a cafe, we sell cookery books. I mean, it's mad not to. And that's really easy post as well. You could even just, you just copy stuff out of books and, credit the book and put the recipes up. And I think, what day, oh God, we're getting really detailed here, but I think probably Fridays would be good for a recipe to go up because you buy the ingredients, you might make it on the weekend. I don't know. People more likely to cook.
Yeah, recipes,
probably, aren't they?
So just from a personal experience from working with a cheese company, we used to do recipes all the time. So usually Tuesday, Wednesday, when people on Fridays, they might not be thinking about what they're going to be having at the weekend because they might be going out at the week. It's good to do it early in the week, I think, just purely because then people can, when they do go shopping in the week, they can get the stuff ready for Friday and they like to be prepared, especially if people follow recipes, they like to be prepared. One thing I'd say about the content, if you can, if possible, if you're able to do a reel, I don't know if you've ever done a reel before, a video
reels.
of, yeah. So if you can do a reel of someone creating a recipe, it can just be quick, short snippets of it. Only my advice when you're doing a reel is take the videos first. So just take 3-4 seconds of each section, each scene, and then later on put it together rather than trying to, because in Instagram you can actually create a reel whilst you're doing it, but it's just so much more stressful and you're better just doing all the videos. Yes, you'll have a lot of videos put together, but it's just easier to do later on. But recipes are absolutely brilliant to do.
What do you use to create the video? Your phone? So you've taken the little snippets,
just a phone.
You don't load it all onto Facebook and then edit it on Facebook. You've edited it on your phone.
No, so for Meta, static posts are really good for scheduling on Meta. But when it comes to Reels, it's just a lot easier to do it on Meta. You can't do as much when you're creating a Reel on Meta, whereas on your phone you've got all like the stickers and everything that you can use on there. It's just so much easier to do, I think, directly on the phone. Once you've done it a few times as well, if you've already done it, you'll know exactly how to do it.
I'd also just caveat that and just say, for those people that are listening going, what is a reel? I can't do that. I don't know how to do videos. It's hard enough for me to do even a post. Then think about, if you can still do a recipe, think about the products that you have within store. Think about how you could perhaps put them together on the shelf, take a photo of them, and then just use the typing element to type in vegan casserole or whatever it might be, and then just list the ingredients out into your notes section as well. So you don't have to use reels. Obviously, we have posts, stories, and reels. I'm going to get Helen just to go through the quick differences of those in a second. But you go at your pace. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing, and there is always a really simple way of doing that. And what I would always say is start simple and then build. Start with what you're confident doing, and then think, oh, well, I might want to work up to doing that. But if you want to see the benefits first, then don't want to overwhelm yourself. You've got 1 or 2 other things to do in your day. So you don't need it to be all encompassing. You want it to be able to work it within your day as something that works for you as well.
Is this a Q&A session? Am I allowed to ask another question? Is that all right?
I think the best way to learn, I mean, they put me as host, so we can do what we like, Cheryl. But
I've got another
I think whilst it still adds value, and I know, and whether there's other people on here as well, I want to just cover a couple of bits. But yeah, we can ask a quick question, absolutely.
One tiny one then. You mentioned giveaways. Is that like a single thing or is it like 20 things, you know, or come into the shop to pick up the giveaway, or how's the best way to run a giveaway?
So, I would look at it from two sides on this one, actually, because I'd look at it from a branded side as well, because you want your brands to provide you with that free stock. You don't want to give away that free stock. That's your stock. That's not your job. This is where the brands come in, and this kind of segues into that. So I am just going to pause you on that one and come back to giveaways, because when we talk about the essence of what brands can do, that can really help as well. But there are some key do's and don'ts from that at the same time. Debbie, did you have something that you wanted to add very quickly? I know you popped on and we've diversed slightly, and now I'm calling you out, so maybe you're not ready, but did you have something you wanted to add?
No, not really. I think it's been covered. It's just you were asking at the beginning about who's got plans or who makes plans, and we do have a plan that we follow. We don't stick to it, so we do diversify, and if things come up in store or you know, we see something that we like, we do change it as the month goes on. But yeah, we tend to have a plan that we like to follow. That was it.
I think it's really, thanks Debbie for that. And I think it is really important to have some kind of plan. You might not know what that plan really looks like, but fundamentally you need to be doing social media for a reason, not just because you have to. A lot of people I know, I coach a lot of businesses who think I just do it because that's what you have to do. You don't. If you think for a second that if you could switch your social media off today and it would make no difference to your store, then you have to really question what it is you're doing with social media in the first place. Do I think every person that's watching this could benefit? 100%. 100% it could add value, but it has to be at the right time. So if you think that you're doing lots of stuff and you're not getting any traction out of it, you're not asking your customers, you know, we'll come on to how you can get people involved on social media when they come into store as well. Maybe you can get them to tag you on their sections, etc. We'll look at that in a sec. But actually, there is that plan of this needs to lead to more sales for my business. That's going to be the main aim. So how do I do that? It might be through competitions and awareness. It might be through sharing so that you get a wider audience. It might be with bringing people into store for giveaways to come and get stuff. It might be utilising brands for sampling to come into store and letting people know about an additional value you're offering your customers. That means that they'll come to you rather than buying elsewhere. So there's lots of different elements that you can look at from that. And if that's triggering any questions, then please do. So do ask them in a second when we come on to that. Helen, I just want quickly, and in a both rudimental terms, because I'm on the call and I'm not the smartest cookie in the box. Posts, stories, reels. There can be some real complication around that. What do I need to do? Everyone tells me I need to do a reel, but do I need to do a reel? What's the difference between a reel and a story? And really, what should I be focusing on?
So what you need to do is what you can do and what you're comfortable with doing. And, you know, there's no point, like you said, forcing yourself to do something you're not comfortable with doing or that you don't want to do. Just to explain the differences between them. So posts, your static posts are basically your images. So an image, you know, of a product or you know, someone doing a service, whatever it is that you sell. You can turn a static post into a carousel, which is more than one image. So people can flick over and see all the different images that you put on. In terms of a reel,
caveat examples, Helen, into that. So,
so
I'm just going to caveat an example into that where you see. So you might see 3 reasons why to use echinacea, and you'll scroll. Now, I just want to add these bits in as we go along, Helen, so I can keep everybody on the journey of the reasons. Why would you use a carousel over a static picture?
So carousel, if with Instagram, if you're putting your carousel on, say you've got 3 different slides on a carousel, three different images. Instagram will show the first image, the first slide, to a potential follower. If they look at that image and don't do anything with it, carry on scrolling, later on, maybe the day after, depending on how the algorithm's working for Instagram, it will then show the second slide. So if you've got a carousel, you're more than likely to be shown in front of other scrollers more than once, because it's going to show the first photo and then it'll try it with the second and think, right, you didn't engage with the first one, I'm going to try showing you the second one. So that's where carousels are beneficial. You kind of get shown you know, more than just one single static post. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
And also, just to clarify, I know some people have asked this question, and I've got a couple of lists here. The longer somebody stays on your post, the more the algorithm will show them at the same time as well. So if they're scrolling across 4 pictures, they're on they're engaging with your post for longer, and that's a positive as well.
Yeah, so a scroll or a swipe, that some people call it a swipe, is classed as an engagement as well. So the more engaged the post is, i.e. the more it gets swiped, the more it'll be pushed to other people.
Thanks.
Okay. So that's the static posts and carousels. Then you have a reel, which is what we were talking about before, which is basically, it can be a video or it can be images, images flicking on, trying to figure out how to word it. You see one image, then you'll see another, and it's basically a video made of images. So it depends how you want to create it. So like I said, you could do the static images one after another, or you can create an actual video. The video can be one long video, or it could be lots of different videos put together. Reels aren't really complicated to put together. Once you've done them a few times, you do get the hang of it. There's a lot of my clients that struggled with it at the beginning, but once they practiced and they figured out all the different ways to do a reel, you can add music to a reel, you can add text to a reel. There's lots of different things you can do to it. Reels, in terms of audiences, reels seem to be pushed out more to new audiences. So you'll find that you'll get new followers from reels more, as opposed to a static post. A static post usually are pushed out to your current followers, so the people that are currently following you. The statics will be pushed out more to those. Reels are for new followers. Is that all right for reels? Is there anything else you want me to?
Yeah,
it's quite
I think
hard to describe a reel without. You'll have all seen one.
But if you haven't seen one, then actually, if you put in onto Google simply "how do I make a reel on Instagram," you'll actually find there's 2 or 3, even the top 2 or 3.
Yeah.
They'll show you some real clear steps, and there'll be YouTube videos that you can look. They might feel intimidating for some people, and they are if you don't know, but actually they're not anywhere near as bad as people think they are. And actually, as Helen mentioned there, it's really good for engaging that new customer and engaging them from there as well. And don't be afraid to trial stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think I see lots of people, 100 takes. I've got to make sure this is right. People want real, and they want real in reels. And what I mean is they want to see you. So you might stutter, you might swig a coffee, you might make an error. That's all okay. That's all part of being human and being that human side in that we bring, and that makes you different from everybody else, and it makes you relatable. So it's actually a real positive rather than seeing it as a negative.
Yeah, and the beauty with social media is it doesn't have to be polished. So your reels or your static posts, they don't have to be professional photos. They can be from the phone. That's what people expect to see. That as long as it's clear and visual, and you can hear, if it's a video, you can hear what people are saying if you're speaking to the camera. As long as everything's clear and understandable, that's all it needs to be. It doesn't have to be a professional video. You can just use your phone. The majority of people do just use their phones. And phones are great these days, aren't they? With videos and photos, the resolution is brilliant. So yeah, that's
and you don't
reels.
need an up-to-date phone as well. Just to clarify, sorry, you don't need an up-to-date phone. Even like any of the iPhone, Samsungs, and stuff have all got good enough quality cameras to make sure that you do something that looks half decent.
Yeah. As long as they take photos or take videos, that's all you need. Doesn't have to be the top of the range phones or cameras or anything. And then stories. So stories are great for behind the scenes footage. So again, stories can be very similar to reels, really. They can be static images or they can be videos. Up to 90 seconds is what you've got. So you've got 90 seconds worth of, if you did do a video, you've got, that's for reels actually, 15 seconds for stories. Sorry, I'm getting confused now. The stories up to 15 seconds per story. So you could, for example, like I said, the behind the scenes, you could show your employees or yourself working behind the scenes. A lot of people like to see that. And that's the very casual side of social media. Again, don't overthink things. Just show what you're doing in the day. Show an opening of a new product that's coming that you're going to be selling, new products on the shelves. That is great for things like that. Again, you can add music, you can tag people in. So there'll be a mention sticker. They're called stickers at the top. When you have a look at the stories, when you're creating a story, have these little icons at the top. One of them is like a little face, and when you click onto it, you can actually add all the brands. So any brands that you're selling, any products that you're selling, you can tag those brands in. And there's lots of different things you can add hashtags to stories. There's loads of stickers that you can add to it. They're really engaging as well. You can add polls to them. So it might be that you put a product on there and say, 2 products, do you like the blue or the red product? Which one do you like best? You put a poll on there, and people like to give their opinion on social media, don't they? So they'll put blue or red. You can ask people to ask questions. So you'll put a question sticker on there. A question, people can ask you any question. That's great for feedback for your brand, and also for getting those frequently asked questions, which are really important for your brand, and also for knowing what content to put out as well onto your social media.
Sorry,
question,
Reels is Instagram, Stories is Facebook. Is that right?
So it's both, actually. So you can actually use Reels and Stories on Facebook.
Looking at Facebook, you get these little. Is that the stories? That's the stories.
Yeah.
So where are the stories? On
it depends if it says Reels.
Hmm?
So on Instagram, your story. So when you when you go onto your home page, click the home at the bottom.
Yeah.
Left.
Yeah.
You see, you've got the circles at the top of different brands that you follow. If you click on that, you'll see the stories. So if you click on one of them, story will come up on one of those. Yeah, one of those circles at the top. So you'll see their latest story.
We're doing them. We're doing stories.
Yeah, there you go. So then you can
know.
There you go.
Okay. Excellent.
There you go. That's great.
Yeah.
And you can flick to the different stories. So if you tap just on the right hand side of the screen, you'll move on to the next story.
Yeah.
If there's a brand that's got, say, 10 different stories, and you're fed up of viewing all the stories, just swipe across the screen and you'll move on to the next business that you're following to see their stories.
Smashing. Sorry.
But so when you post a story, you do on Instagram. No, it's okay. When you post a story or a reel on Instagram, you do have an option when you're posting. If you scroll down once you've written the caption, which is the writing underneath the post, for reels, you do have an option to share to your Facebook. So that's why you'll be seeing reels on Facebook as well, and stories on Facebook.
That's really
you can actually create a reel in Facebook. Yeah, you can create a Facebook on its own without having using Instagram, but it's not got as many of the different benefits that you can use in Instagram. Instagram's a lot better for reels.
Great. Thank you for that, Helen. A good introduction. A nice little segue there actually into brands. So I know you kind of talked about putting brands on and then tagging them in as well. This is where the nice little segue comes in, and we'll come on to how to utilize brands within your social media. Brands and small businesses and brands are desperate to have you tag them in their posts, because they want to see and they want to support your stores. And obviously for them, just like you, they're looking for new content, they're looking for new customers, they're looking to grow and drive their sales. And that's where they come involved with regards to the competition. But if you tag them in, the first thing they're going to do is share it out to their network, and you get a wider reach as well. So it's always advantageous to do that. Cheryl mentioned earlier on around doing competitions and giveaways with brands, and actually that's
I'm annoying myself now, but when you say tag a brand, is that the hashtag or is that the @?
So it's an @ so if you put the @ in, then you'll start to type in the brand and their image will come up, and then you'll just click on that image and put them in the screen so that they're on there as well.
The basic between hashtags and @ takes you to that person's Facebook page or their page.
Hashtag is an element where people will search a certain topic. So if you're searching around natural products or vegan products, etc., people will utilize those hashtags to find you, to find content that they're interested in. And they're tagging somebody in, or it tags somebody in, so it lets them know if you've got an event, if you've got a product, etc., they can go to they'll tag their site in as well, and it'll let them know that you tagged them as well.
Thank you.
And then it'll come up inside their notifications. But the brands are really, really keen to do the same thing. They're all small businesses at the same time as well, and they're looking to drive and grow their reach. So they will supply you with free stock for competition. They will allow you to do in-store competitions as well as online competitions, because they want to support you and your sales. If you win, they win, and then everybody wins. But the main thing is nobody wins unless that customer has value, and the customer sees the value to come in and buy that product. That's where social media plays a really great element. That's where you can attract some new customers. So, for example, going back to your hashtag, Cheryl, you might do. There's some do's and don'ts with a competition. But you might tag in the local community. You might tag in a local community centre. You might tag in the area that you live within. So when people search that, they see your competition. One of the things I wouldn't necessarily do is do like a hashtag giveaway, hashtag competition time, hashtag freebie Friday. You see this happening a lot. And what happens then is you get everybody that then searches that hashtag that has got no relevance to your store whatsoever will start engaging with them. And now you're devaluing your offering and you're not engaging that target market. To think about what your customers might look for, what they might be gaining as well, and making sure you're keeping that targeted from there. And if in doubt, some of the brands will have social media teams and they will be able to help and guide you as well on that, more than happily if you're running a competition with them. Maybe you're doing it with several of them and you're getting a larger reach. Maybe you're looking at 3 or 4 products around immunity, or January's coming, so you might have a Veganuary section, or you might have a health now section for the new year, etc. To think about how you can collaborate with certain brands. If you don't know, and you're not sure if you can do that, you may have a brand that you follow. So send a message to them on Instagram. I'll guarantee it, you'll make their day. And if you've got a collaboration that you want to do, I'm sure they'll want to do that with you as well. But don't be afraid to reach out to them, because they absolutely will reach out back. And if you definitely don't know, speak to me. I know 1 or 2 of brands, and I can definitely guide you in the right direction of some of them that are doing some really great stuff, or I can introduce you to brands that will help you do that. I know within Health Store UK, as an example, Faith in Nature are fantastic at what they do in regards to their social media and engagement with the independent sector. I know that Terra Nova are as well. I know that some of the field sales teams over at Natural Trade Brokers, etc., will also have a good experience with teams and know brands as well. So I know that some of the partners for Health Stores UK would be more than happy to work with you, as well as some of the other businesses and brands that we have in the channel and you have in your stores. On the topic of brands and how they might be able to help, has anyone done anything collaboratively wise with a brand, or would like to, or has any questions about it at all? Debbie?
Hi, we do a lot with brands. We do a lot of our own stuff, but we also use a lot with brands. At the moment, Vogel did a really good competition for brands during November to see different social media stuff. So we did a whole mix of posts that they had already created. We took posts that they had already created and we put our spin on it or our branding on it. And we made silly videos around their particular products. And that's worked really well for us over the last couple of months.
Can I just ask, and for those that might not know are watching this and think, well, I don't know anybody at Vogel, how did you get that? I don't get those opportunities. How did you come across that?
So the particular Vogel opportunity was emailed out to anybody that signs up to their newsletter. They did like window display. So for people that weren't into social media, you had a different choice of joining in the competition. So yeah, best window display, best social media post, that kind of thing. But also just talking to reps or the person that's doing training. If you speak to any of them and say, we want to do stuff for social media, they will either put you in touch with their social media people, or they will help you themselves.
And also, if you can see the products that are within your store, if you just follow them on social media, you'll also see what they're posting out as well. And sometimes you can just repost that without interacting with the brand whatsoever, because they're working on what works for them and what the messaging that they want to put out in. And actually, like you said, you can just utilize it. You can put your logo on it. You can steal their idea. We've talked about that as well. And also, you can then drop them a message and say, oh, is there something like this that we can share with our store? Or we have your products. We'd like to run a competition to drive your awareness for you. Can you help us? They will. They will most definitely do that.
a lot of the bigger brands, like for instance Dr. Hauschka, once a month they'll send us out some assets, and there's like a folder that we can all go on and use their assets. They're very keen. They don't like people putting their own pictures on. They're very keen that you use their pictures that they've spent a lot of money getting right. And so again, they're nice, quick, easy posts to do by using their really good quality pictures. And there's quite a few brands that actually do that.
There's also more brands that you don't even know about that definitely do that as well. And I think, like we talked about there, they want continuity. So they want when people are looking for Vogue as an example, they know what they're looking for. So once they see it, they recognise that brand. They recognise it's a brand that they know. They'll engage with it further as well. So they've worked hard on that as well.
Yeah.
I know there's also brands that will come and do sampling events. You might have sampling in store. One of the things that sends me a little crazy sometimes is that you have this great opportunity. You've got this brand that's going to come into store, and they're going to spend time with your customers. But there isn't. All we think about is that day. They're coming in next Thursday. They're coming in next Saturday. They come in, they work with your customers, and they leave. How do you maximize that on social media beforehand? How can you let people know next Saturday? This is an added value for your customers and potential new customers. Have you ever had an ailment that you're worried about, or do you ever want to understand a little bit more about this? We're providing this service for you. Come in next Saturday. We're going to run a competition in store for XYZ. You can learn about whatever it is the product is coming in for, and then you can utilize that as free social media. The brand will also share it. Maybe the brand will do a video for you and just go, can you do me a video that says, hi, we're so excited to come to Elixir next week. We're going to come down. This is what we're going to talk about. Please bring your questions for us. They'll do the work for you. So there's so many ways to utilize that. And then once you're in there, you can take content as well, a picture of them doing sampling, how you're engaging, and then you can do a post around how you engage with your customers. And you offer more than just what's in store. You're offering a service. You're offering, they gave away free, look at them, the store's giving away free samples so people get to try products before they buy it, which is a huge benefit for them when we're living in an environment where value could be, I just want to stick to what I know because I think it's the best thing for me. I don't want to try this thing. Oh, it's free. Oh, I'm more likely to try it now. Oh, it works. Who knows? Now I might be open to more things at the same time as well. Exactly. And then afterwards, when you've done your event and you've sampling event, put that out. We had a wonderful event last week. Is that something? Let's go back to Helen's stickers. Would you like to see more sampling in our store? Yes, no. Is there any products you'd like to see? It might be supplements. It might be food. It might be shower gels. It might be whatever it might be. And then you can utilize that as poll as well. There is a phrase that says everything is content. And within your stores, it is, because that's where people want to be. That's where you want them to be. So the brand can provide all of that if you want them to. They'll do the whole thing for you from beginning to end, the sampling. They'll give you the samples. What you'll find is that most of them will say, send me the winners and send me the details of the winners, and we'll send them out the things. You don't even have to pay the postage for people that have entered the competition. Or you might want to come into store and come and collect them. And then you show the winner. Look, here's a picture of me and from Carol. She's won the prize. Look how happy she is. That shows again to your customers, this is another reason to come into my store over anywhere else. You don't get this online. You don't get this on Amazon. You get this in store. We work together and you've got this wonderful opportunity. We work with the community. We work with our customers. That's a real good thing with social media, is that you're showing people another reason, another piece of value that your store offers over competitors.
And we have found those kind of pictures that have got our faces on, our customer faces on, and our team's faces on, they actually get the most traction, rather than just, if I just did assets that companies gave me, my social media would tank. People would get bored and, they would move on. So every now and then we'll put a picture of one of the team, or like you say, one of the customers, and up it goes again, because people like people and they like to see you, what you're doing behind the scenes. They like to see customers coming in the store. Yeah.
It's also risk averse, right? It's also risk averse. If someone else has come in and bought your store, maybe I should go in as well. Yeah. I just want to touch on something. I'm just conscious of time, and I want to make sure there's time for a couple of questions here. But I want to just really ask an open question on there, and have a little think about this. How many times do you talk to your customer base currently about your social media? How many times when they're in store do you get them to get their phone out and take a picture of you in the store and tag you on it? maybe there's something that you can offer them. Maybe one of those samples from a brand. Because if they're doing that, you tag that content, they're now creating the content for you that you don't have to. So how can you engage with them and make sure that everybody that comes into your store, maybe you can create a QR code that sits on your on your till. Tag us in, follow us on social media. We always do giveaways. We're working with brands. Keep us up to date. You want to make sure that everybody that walks into that store tags you on where you want to be and follows you on your social media platform of choice or choices or their choices. You might ask 10 people and 9 say, oh, we're on TikTok. Are you on TikTok? Well, that's now a reason for you to be on TikTok, right? But if they're all saying Instagram and they follow you on Instagram, now you can talk to them when they're not in the store. Maybe they won't listen to an email. Maybe they won't look at an email. They're always going on Instagram. I can guarantee that. Maybe your email's gone to junk. Who knows? But they're always going to be on social media no matter what. That is human nature right now. So then you've got more opportunity to talk to your customers and get them to come into store. We've all got that customer that we think, oh, I haven't seen so-and-so for a while. Reach out to them on social media. Hi, so-and-so, how are you? We've got that thing in that you like, whatever it might be. We've got that product in now. We've got some great gift sets in. So you can talk to your customers on social media. It's not all about posts. You can send them a little message. You can let them know directly that you're thinking about them. That's always a really nice emotive response. So I want to challenge people to really, first things first, make sure the people that come into your store, your regular customers, are all engaged with you on your social media. And then find those funny, intricate ways of getting a selfie with them or doing something so that you can post. If it's just you posting them on social media, great. But if it's them posting it on social media, even better. And then you can just reshare that. That'll go onto your stories and add that credibility as well. Any questions on that quickly before I open the floor to the last quarter of an hour of Q&As? Debbie, I know that we said we would have a look at your brand. I'm going to speak to you separately on that because of time. There's a few bits on there that we'll talk to you about. Has anyone got any questions on working with brands or how to engage their current customers at all? Okay. Cheryl, hello.
Well,
I didn't know you were on today.
I'm interested. What can I say? There's every day's a
It's brilliant. Cheryl, the one thing I'd always say is if you're thinking it, I'll guarantee somebody else is.
I
So
dare
thank
say,
you,
and I'm the
I
only
would
one.
say.
Big
Thank
mouth
you
enough
for
to
asking these
ask.
questions because it means that we can educate as many people as possible.
Appreciate that. You mentioned about giveaways, and I am anxious about that for what you said about if you put hashtag freebie and hashtag competition, things like that. I worry that it's just people from all over the country just thing, and it's not helping me. So the nuts and bolts, you don't have to explain it now, but could you send us something that says top 10, do A, B, C, the steps to creating the perfect giveaway on social media? That would be, I'd really appreciate that if there's like a, how to create the perfect giveaway on social media, because we don't do it, because I'm always nervous of it just, not really
remember,
impacting.
Cheryl, you don't have to put any hashtags in. If you just do a giveaway to your current customer base, then great. But actually, from a hashtag rule, this is people finding you, right? So the main important things is think about hashtagging in elements that you know. So it might be your area, it might be it might be the street you work in, it might be the area that you're in, it might be the village, the town, whatever it might be. So people that are going to be looking for in and around your area are going to see this because you want them to come into your store. Is
it best to do it as a reel, as a story, as a post, as a
I would suggest the easiest way to do it. The easiest way for me, and I'm going to wait for Helen to correct me or not. Let's see if I can go all the way through without Helen correcting me. I'll be really impressed. I would always suggest a still post because you can put that post onto as a story, and then that way you do one thing, and then you've got two options for the way that people will find you. They'll either find you through the feed or they'll find you through the story. It's one thing for you to do, and that makes it nice and easy as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, just make it easy for yourself. One thing I'd say about hashtags in general anyway is you have up to 30 hashtags. A lot of people don't use those 30. You can use 30. Like Dave said, they're your searchability tool. That's how people will find you. I think if you do use hashtags currently and you go on your current posts, if you look at the insights on your post, so just go onto the post, there'll be a little insights button underneath the actual post.
Yeah.
Have a look and see how many people found that post through hashtags, and I think you'd be surprised that they're quite.
I hashtag everything. I be perfectly honest, I've never really known why. I just put hashtags on things, and because I've seen other people do it, you know.
So think about that as how will people find things. So I know there are some people that will put like hashtag new arrival. Well, actually, if you're searching hashtag new arrival, that's so what, because that could be at the airport. It could be anywhere. So you need to think about what will someone going to search that's going to be relevant to my customer.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what are those people searching for?
Yeah,
it's normally going to be in and around that area. It's going to be in and around area, or it's going to be in and around product and area. But it's going to be, you need to, or it might be around the store. So make sure you tag your store name into it as well. But
really?
also, really
your own
interestingly,
store? I never knew that. So you hashtag your own store name.
Hashtag your own store name, hashtag the brand that
this
you're
was
putting in
worth
there
it just for that, wouldn't it? Really, this is absolutely.
This is how people are going to find you.
use...
This is what they're searching.
Exactly. Yeah, always use. So if you've got 30
Did
hashtags,
everybody else
use
know that?
what?
Jill, Gail, Debbie, Amy, did you know that you meant to hashtag your own store name?
It just helps for people searching for you. So if people want to search for your company, they'll find you. They'll find all the posts that have used that hashtag, and it's your niche hashtag as well.
Jeez,
so
I feel like I need
it's
to go
niche
back
to you.
Hashtag all my past posts.
Yes.
But so don't do that. But look at going forward. So think about it. If you tag hashtag vegan products, anyone in the world can find hashtag vegan products. But if you search hashtag vegan products Newark, because that's where you are, now that's made that more relevant to your area instantly. Okay. So if you just tag plant-based, that could be anything in the whole world that's plant-based. It could be all sorts. But plant-based products Newark, I'm using Newark as an example, makes it a little bit more
but basically
direct,
keep hashtags local and specific to the exact people you're trying to reach. That makes sense.
Absolutely. Now, also, the other thing you want to have a look at, if you think to yourself, oh, local, what hashtags can I possibly use? Have a look at some local businesses. Look at their hashtags. Look what they're engaging. It doesn't, I'm going to go out on a limb here, have to be anything to do with your shop. It has to just be anything. If you're going to find new customers, you want to see what other people in the area are hashtagging. So are there businesses that you know in your local area?
And Barrett? Would that be really immoral? If you hashtagged Holland and Barrett, people Google Holland and Barrett or whatever it is they do to search, but remember,
if you so one,
disappoint them, right?
Absolutely do that because you need to disrupt people's journeys to come to you, but you wouldn't hashtag Holland and Barrett because they're all over the world again as well. So you'd hashtag your local one.
Oh, Holland and Barrett Daventry.
If you've got you've got a really good restaurant, a cafe, a deli, whatever it is, they'll be hashtagging and using hashtags as well. Maybe you've got a local chamber of commerce. Look at those businesses and look at what they're hashtagging in the local area because they're all trying to attract local business.
I'm going to look to see if anybody's hashtagging my shop who's trying to steal my customers. I'm going to have a look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, look at the hashtags because someone might be doing that. It happens.
So that's what what I would also say is, and I know we've just gone all through all of that, don't get too hung up on it. Yeah, because the reality is a small percentage of people are using it to find you. So you need to look at it from a different perspective, but don't get overawed with it at all. But when you're looking at that giveaway, the main things to hashtag in are the ones that are going to work and adding the right people as well. But maybe also if you're offering a free service and you're offering something, maybe at another local business, that think about how you can use social media to work together. So maybe you start commenting on other local businesses' stuff so that they start sharing your stuff.
Yeah,
that's how you get a wider audience.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got the local deli, the local shop, the local market, whatever it is. How can you engage with their posts? If you give something to them and engage with them, they'll give something back and engage with you. And you can have a little pack where you share each other's posts.
Very specific to that, there is a group in my town called Daventry Notice Board. They've got 23,000 followers. And I do share things on because I've become a member. I do share onto there, but I wondered how I could guarantee that I'm getting all those 23,000 seeing my post.
You can't guarantee you're going to get all those 23,000 because it's just not the way that it works. You're probably only going to get 5% maximum on that as it is, as it stands. My question to you would be this: if you're going to go onto another forum and talk to another customer, share one of your posts, you can't talk like you talk to your regular customers because these aren't your regular customers. These are new customers. So what's going to incentivize them to come to your store? So you need to change that tonality a little bit to bring in that new customer, to give them a reason to come into your store. Maybe it is around a sampling event. Ever wanted to try something? you have so many people walk past your shop on a daily basis that could come in, and on social media in the area. So what is it that's going to entice them? Try and put yourself out of anything that you even think about your business and into the mind of that person that's walking by, that's always, I'm a health conscious person, but I've never thought about going into an independent health food store. Oh, I didn't know they did that. That's really interesting. So think about what that emotive response that you're going to get, that, oh, I didn't know they did that. I go past there every day. I'll pop in there. What's that message? What's that question?
Cool.
Any other questions at all? And any subject that we've covered or anything that we haven't? Well, we've got about 5 minutes left. So I just want to make sure anyone's got any questions before we wrap this up for anybody.
Could you just explain the @ again? Because you talked about hashtags and using the @ symbol.
So when you go into your images, so when you look at putting the sticker out thing on, there'll be a section there that says mention, and it'll have a little @ sticker, like your email address is your name @ whatever the store is. When you have that @ and you'll type in, let's say you type in Vogel as an example, what you're doing is you're tagging them into your post, so they will see that post. You're doing it deliberately, so you're letting people know that they can click on it and it will take them to that page. But you're also letting the brands know that you've tagged them in, which means that they will then share it out at the same time as well. So you mention somebody because you want them to see you tagged them in it, because normally it's because you want your customer to click on it as well, to see the wider thing that they do. So that they might go, oh, I didn't know they did all of this, and they come to talk to you about that. So you might even tag somebody in a Vogel and tag them in and say that Avo will have a full range. Come and talk to us about any of their products, because you haven't got that online capability necessarily of showing them the whole range of products like they have. But fundamentally, what you really want is that brand to then repost you at the same time as well. That adds value for them and to you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
You know, Dave, what I would love is a Windows masterclass, window display masterclass, that some sort of, you know, Vogel does some great POS materials, and just seeing pictures of really bad windows and picking them to bits, and really good windows and why they're good.
I wouldn't necessarily pick a bad window and pick it to bits, Cheryl. I don't know if that's the constructive nature of what we're trying to do. However, what I'm one step ahead of you on that, actually, and I've been speaking as well. So, and thank you for people that have given the feedback into what they'd also like to hear. We'll definitely do one on the window displays, because my question on Windows is simple as well. We always do a window display to attract to our current customer, and that window is a portal to a whole world of new customers. How do we utilize that window to attract new people into store? That's what your window should be for. Your current customers are already coming in.
You're absolutely
They're already
right.
coming to see
absolutely
you.
Right.
So why talk to them? Talk to your new customers. Talk to the people that are walking past consistently, and engaging with something that's going to be emotive to them as well. So just to summarize on that, and thank you everybody. Unless there's any more questions while I'm here. No. Just to summarize on that, if anybody has got any topics that they would like discussed on these monthly sessions, then please do let us know. And thank you for the 2 or 3 that have already come through that we will be picking up on. Just as an interest for people that are on here, is there any other subjects that would be of interest at this point? We've got Windows, we've got how to work with brands, which was another one, and then how to engage new customers as a general rule. Anyone got anything else that they would like to pick up on at this stage?
Nothing new. I just agree with Cheryl. Windows is a huge one for me.
Constant
I got
pressure,
2 emails around merchandising. Would that be something of interest as well as how to merchandise store?
Yep, sounds good. I'm going to come to all of them, Dave. I find it fascinating. What I want to know is how I get you to my store. Come and visit my shop. Where are you? I guess you're in Newark, are you? You mentioned it a lot.
I'm not actually in Newark actually at all. I'm based in Cheshire myself. Just my Nantwich in Cheshire. But no,
on the M1, straight down the M1. It's not the M6, straight down the M6.
Amy, thank you for that as well. Merchandising, definitely. Thank you for that in the comments. I have been keeping an eye on that as well. So, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming on and engaging again. The more questions that we had made it a really interactive session. I hope everybody got something out of that. I know that there
Notes,
is
pages
all...
of notes, pages of notes are taken. Thank
Yeah,
you.
me
Thank you,
too.
Helen.
Wonderful. Well, Debbie obviously hasn't made any notes because she didn't show me a bit of paper, so then that would be shame on. Oh well. Trends, yeah, trends coming through and what people are looking for and consumers are looking for as well is also another great one. So thank you everybody for coming on. I hope it has been valuable for you. I'd like to give a really special thank you to Helen for giving up her time to come on as well. If anybody wants to get in contact with Helen, I will share her details as well. As Helen does work with businesses and so on to run with them and help them, support them on their social media journey. She does do training on Reels and so on as well. So thank you, Helen, for that. I hope you found it insightful.
Yes, no, it's been great. It's lovely to meet you all as well.
Marvellous.
Thank you.
Bang on 7:30. I'm not sure Avril's normally 1 minute over, so I'm just saying. I hope you've found that. Avril, please don't hurt me. Sorry, I love you. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope again that it's been really informative and interesting. I hope you found it great. Have a great evening. Have a great week. And I know this is going to sound odd, but have a great Christmas, because we're not going to get another one of these in, and I might not get to see everybody and speak to everybody. So whatever you do over that period, I hope everything is wonderful. You have an amazing time, and we'll catch up and we'll come to you shortly with what January's session will have in store for you as well. Thank you very much indeed, and see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.